What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla's by the overall market. I'm going to break down some big news involving Tesla that's coming out, a big catalyst for the market that's coming up very soon as well. Not to mention what the charts are suggesting, but just know that I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends very soon at the end of March. Anyways, looking at the market right now, Tesla has this big gap down that has formed. And we're going to be watching the support at our 200 EMA, which is at $386 a share. If we lose this, Tesla's going to be at risk of dipping to, these lower levels all over again. If we hold this, we could see Tesla attempt to see a bounce. So watch this level very closely. We'll talk more about this in just a couple of minutes. So what's happening with the market? I just want to remind you all that there's a lot of fear right now involving the tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed on China, Mexico, and Canada. They're the largest three partners of trade for the US. So it's very important to remember this. The market will gap down as a result. There was news that came out over the weekend that Canada is retaliating by increasing tariffs to about 25% on some US goods, about $100 billion worth. And on top of this, now there's another catalyst coming out as we have Donald Trump preparing to meet up with many leaders. So Trump is going to be talking about tariffs with many officials from Canada and Mexico today. When they meet up, there could be some new updates about this, and this could cause some volatility in the markets. So we'll see about this. So just wait a couple of hours. Once the news comes out that they are meeting up and they're going to be speaking, we'll see what this leads to. It may be many hours from now. It's not going to happen like anytime soon. We have to wait quite a while. So the first couple of hours, the market has other catalysts, but get ready for this at least for the time being. Now, there's also news that came out that Mexico, they're also planning on increasing tariffs on the US. They may make an announcement soon, and that would be a little negative for the markets if that were to come out. Just keep that in mind, guys. These are some catalysts that could be coming out. Trump also mentioned that Europe and the EU are going to be part of his tariff plan. He wants to increase tariffs on them as well as a result of the trade deficits he claims that are continuing and for many different reasons. So that is going to be another big piece of news if he mentions anything about Europe, or if some kind of news comes out involving that, that could also affect things. So just get ready for all of this, guys. Things are very complicated. So expect high volatility as the market continues to progress. One thing I'm seeing is a lot of headlines are talking about Elon Musk and Trump, about how Elon Musk and the team are still betting that things are going to be fine for Tesla despite these tariffs and everything like this. That's what investors are still betting on. Although, although the short term is looking a little bearish for Tesla, and I think we could be looking for more downside, there's still a lot of hope that towards the end of this year, Tesla will make a full recovery and push to new all-time highs, and eventually start to pump into the 5, 6, 700s as the years progress. Right? There's a lot of potential in Tesla to do that, despite this downside move. And once again, I see these downside moves as more opportunities. So that's something that investors need to remember. Now, as a reminder, today is Monday, February 3rd. We have two catalysts that are also coming out. At 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI. Then at 10 a.m., we have the ISM Manufacturing Employment, PMI, new orders, and prices all coming out. So look for more volatility once this data comes out. It's going to cause a big move in the markets. We'll see if this launches this market up or down, but look for a big move at 10 a.m. Besides that, the market's getting very close to fear. There's a lot of fear that's still present in this market. So we're going to be watching to see how well we hold up. And in terms of earnings, just know that after market close, we have Palantir. But anyways, that's it for all the news. Let's now just focus on what's happening with these charts. So as far as Tesla goes, I think we're going to be dipping a little bit more here. And what's going to happen is we're going to be fighting to see if this 200 EMA holds, because notice that when you go back on the chart, so like right here, we saw Tesla dip a little below the 200 EMA. The red line here then bounced. Right over here, there's another example. It came very close to this and then held. Over here, it dipped all the way down to 364. I think this was during earnings. Then it bounced back up and held its 200 EMA. Here, it touched this and bounced. So today, I think we're going to be touching this. We might see it dip a little bit below this, and we'll have to see, do the buyers defend Tesla right over here? If we close below this red at 200 EMA at 386, then Tesla's going to be at risk of dipping even more. If we hold this, there's going to be a chance that Tesla could try to bounce and try to fill this gap back up to 400. So watch for a small dip to 386 on Tesla, and then we might dip a little bit below it towards like 380 or so. What matters is, can we close above or below this 200 EMA? But look for a little bit more downside before we see anything else. There might be a small dip that's coming from how much we already dipped. We're going to gap down like 3% most likely, and then we will dip a little bit more. But watch and see if the support holds or not. Now for SPY, we're gapping down. We're currently at 592 a share. What's going to likely happen is, so we have like a double top. When you zoom out of SPY, there's like actually a big gap to fill at 584 on the daily. So if you look at the daily charts, I think we could be coming down to fill this gap at 584. However, before that happens, before we see that happen, we'll have to see if SPY can try to hold support at 590. So the way this is going to work is, if we're bullish, you want to see SPY reclaim 595. If we manage to close above that or get back above that, we could try to push to fill this gap. And then later on down the line, we might be coming back down to like 584 to fill this gap. A move like this, if we can't hold above 595 and we reject on SPY like this and we continue to lose 590, if 590 fails us, I think we likely come down to fill the gap to 584. So I hope that's as clear as possible. If we lose 590, I think there's a good chance we dip to 584 to fill the gap. If we get back above 595, we could attempt to fill this other gap above here, which pushes this back up to about 600, and then we could be dipping after that. So this is going to be the most likely move on SPY, in my opinion. It depends if we can try to reclaim 595 or not. If we can't, then we could be dipping all the way down to fill that gap below towards 584. On the QQQ, we dumped really hard. We're trying to rebound here. So if we get back above 515, okay, there's a good chance we try to push back up to 520, right, to fill that gap before we see another move right back down. But if we can't get back above 515, I think we push for 515. If we can't break above that and we reject, then I expect us to start dipping closer to the low 500s. It's kind of like this. This is the move I'm expecting. We're already gapping down as predicted, but watch and see, can we reclaim 515 to bounce a little bit before we start to reject? Or do we push to 515 and then fail to break it and reject from there? Hope that's as clear as possible. We're going to push to 515, break it. We could remain a little bullish to fill that gap. If we reject off this, we could be dipping back down. The Russell 2000, same setup. I think that this is going to attempt to push for 223. If we break that, we're looking for 225. If we reject off 223, we could be turning back down to continue this downtrend towards like 218. So we have kind of like a double top like structure here. I think that we will likely rebound for about the 223 area like this, and then we'll see if we get a big rejection and continue this downtrend to much lower levels. If we get back above 223, we could bounce to fill this gap first before we end up dipping. So look for a small rebound and we'll see if we get a rejection or not. ES has a similar setup. We're trying to ride this trend line. So we tried to break out of this trend line, right? We have a double top here and this is looking kind of weak now. So from the way I see things, looking at our daily charts on ES, there's a little bit of weakness here. We're trying to hold this trend line right now. So as of right now, that's our support. To be bearish, you want to see ES lose this trend line. If we fail at this trend line, we could be dipping below like the 5900s to start dumping. If we hold this, we could attempt a rebound. We have to get back above 6,000 to really bounce. If we reclaim 6,000, I think we fill this gap back up to about 6,060. If we get back above 6,000, that's when you're looking for that bounce. We have some data coming out, so watch for that. If we can't hold above 6,000, though, we could be dipping right back down. So watch and see if we could hold above 6,000 or not. And if we lose this yellow trend line, I'm looking for a dip closer to about the 5880 area. Just keep that in mind. Same thing with NQ. We have a gap to fill if we get back above 21,300-ish around this area. We have this gap to fill back up to 21,500. If we lose 21,000 flat, we could be dumping. My gut tells me this might be tipping a little bit, so watch and see if that ends up being the case. So give this the time it needs, especially as we have this double top like structure. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin has a double top as well. If we reclaim 96,000, it would be nice to see. If we can't, then this could continue to fall back down to about 90,000. On Nvidia, we're trying to hold 115. We got to hold this support. If not, we could be dumping to like 112 or below. If we get back above 118, we're looking for that gap fill for 120, but it still looks bearish to me. It might rebound like this, but if it can't get back above 120, it could just push a bit and start continuing to decline towards like 110. So be careful. Like I said about Tesla, I anticipate some more downsides about 386 or below. We'll see if that holds. If not, we're looking for 380 or these lower targets. So just keep that in mind. Apple looking bearish. We called out 230 yesterday. We need to hold this. If we can't, this could be dipping all the way down to about 226 again, all the way back down to the mid 220s. We got to hold this 230 area. If not, I do expect us to continue to start dipping, especially as we have this imbalance around 222. 225 and 222 could be coming if we fail on Apple, so just keep that in mind. For coin, we're dipping right here. We need to try to get back above 277. If we can't reclaim that, this may continue to downtrend for 268 or below. It came down, it actually gapped below its gap right here. So watch 113.5. If it doesn't hold, we're looking for a dip to about 112. Amazon, it's trying to make a full recovery. I think Amazon's going to push to fill this gap for about 236 to 238. So look for a small rebound. Then we'll see if we get a rejection or not. But for now, I do think it's going to try to rebound a bit to about 237. Meta looks a little bit weaker. We got to get back above 676. If we reclaim the 680 area, we have a gap to fill around 685. If we can't hold this, we could be dumping back down to 665. Microsoft's on a bit of a downtrend, forming a double top here. We want to reclaim 412. If we can't, we could be dipping back down to 405. Google's also kind of stuck here. If we lose 201, we're looking for a dip to 198.9. And if we hold 200, we're looking for a bounce back up to about 204. So watch 201 to be retested on Google. We need to see if this holds or not. If not, it could be dipping to 198 or below. The VIX is pumping, has a big gap below, but we'll see if this continues or not. There's still a lot of fear in the markets. So we were correct about the market dipping lower. We'll just have to see if the market could hold these levels or not. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. As far as Tesla goes, make sure you watch your levels and get ready for some updates involving Donald Trump later on today. And then also these PMI reports at 9:45 and 10 a.m. Thank you for listening, guys. Get ready for some high volatility. Tesla may dip a little bit more, but watch this support at 386 to see if it holds or not. With that being said, I wish you all the best. Thank you for listening, and peace out.